Thank you.
Oh, well, same for me.
What you need's a stiff quinine.
Get this straight, John. I'm staying with this little African expedition of yours. If it takes as long as it took Stanley to find Livingstone.
With all that desk work piling up at the Foreign Office?
Well, that's my worry.
And the Foreign Secretaries. He must know that you're on safari.
All I know is you're not going to keep me in the dark.
So you're clinging on like a neurotic limpet with a peeping Tom complex. You should have realized when you worked me in as your roving ambassador that you were hardly ideally placed office-bound in Whitehall to keep tabs on me.
Well, I don't know what you achieved in Kenya, Malawi, or here in Abyssinia.
Oh, it's got you sweating.
Nothing, I suspect.
I made contacts.
Well, it's not like you to jet around just making friends. Anyway, it's the next stop that matters, isn't it? Somalia. That's the one it's all about.
But maybe just another stop. What should I be doing in Somalia?
Selling them hospitals, fully equipped?
Oh, Somalia is a poor land. 2.5 million people raising cattle. Who is going to buy them hospitals?
We are. Could be quite a cool job to Somalia, so well placed in the Indian Ocean and the Gulf of Aden. Britain may continue to pull out east of Suez, but a British government looking further ahead could see this place as strategically important. Can I have a breath of fresh air?
Who told you? Dowling or Henderson?
I'm the Minister for Special Situations and Trade, John. Dowling is a permanent civil servant. Henderson, a temporary.
On my staff.
You merely have ambassador status. When your minister requires information, John, it is their duty to give it.
Duty nothing. They're just sorry for you. To start with, Prime Minister, I have in mind 4 hospitals. 2 here in Mogadishu and 1 each in Kismayu and Hargeisa.
Fully equipped.
As up-to-date as any in the world.
And finance?
No problem. We'll build on an interest-free loan from Britain.
Repayable when?
To be discussed.
Others are anxious to build hospitals.
At least the Italians and ourselves as ex-colonial powers out here are now competing to help you and not to exploit you.
Your rivalry, I understand. You both have reasons of self-interest. You both find Somalia well-placed geographically in case of war.
We will probably find the Italians and ourselves on the same side.
The fact remains that for the hospital program, you are rivals. Will you assure me that your technicians sent to build the hospitals will be really technicians and not defense experts?
Really technicians. There are no strings, Prime Minister.
I'm glad, because the Italians have volunteered a similar assurance.
Yes, I am half Italian, Lord Bligh. I don't see that it matters. I repeat, I neither know nor expect Sir John Wiseman.
Wilder.
I don't see what he could want with me. Business is his trade.
Well, he's here to offer you some hospitals.
He's wasting his time.
Well, sorry we troubled you, Minister.
Good day, Minister.
Get me the Prime Minister, quickly.
Well, John said quite categorically he was seeing the Minister of Health.
Ah, of course he did, so as you'd pass it on to me. Oh, chap with a name like that should have warned me. Pastore couldn't be more Italian if you were selling ice cream outside the Natural History Museum.
You really are learning, Lincoln. Sending Caswell to see Pastore was a stroke and a half. And you were right. He's blabbed to Pastore.
We professionals do have our uses on occasions. Prime Minister's not Pastore's dearest friend in Somalia. Now, Pastore, for reasons of ancestry, will push the Italian interest too far for the PM's taste. He's not enamored of half Italians. I think the job's yours.
Ours, this time, Lincoln.
The restaurant was locked. I got it from the bar.
Oh, I don't care where you got it from. As long as it's ice. Oh, that's better.
You should see a physician, Lord Bly.
Or here, a lot of witch doctors. Try Wilder again.
He's out, Minister.
I said try him again. Oh, I think I'll have a couple more codeines.
Sir John Wilder, please. You've had 6 already. There is such a thing as codeine poison. John?
Yes?
Lord Bly.
John, I want to see you.
We're in the bar in 5 minutes.
In my room. In 2.
The old man sweats a bit and you feel guilty.
Don't you?
I didn't invite him to come sniffing around.
No, but you helped lay the aniseed.
I always thought you were a wilder man. Long service stripes all over your arm.
I left him once.
And crawled back on all fours.
You can't stand ministers like Caswell, can you? You and your mini-minded chums treat the diplomatic service as a private estate. Public, keep out.
I didn't know you cared, Donald.
All I know is that Caswell's sick, likely to get sicker.
Well, the answer's simple. Caswell will go home. He's stubborn, bloody-minded, and scared lest Wilder should pull something off. I'm surprised he didn't bring his peer's robes and join in the tribal dances.
Cheers.
I can't think of anyone less I'd like to drink with. Certainly can't pick and choose in this dump.
So it was guilt that made you tip off the old man?
John ordered me to tell Caswell that you were the Minister of Health.
Not that. I mean about the hospitals.
He found out for himself.
Don't give me that, Donald. He was as clueless as a virgin in Soho.
Look, while you and John were off on those furtive little safaris of yours to Addis Ababa, Caswell didn't just sweat it out. He got hold of some of your trained seals at the embassy there to perform for him. Well, they juggled with the facts, and they came up with hospitals. Have another, Lincoln. I suggest something a little stronger than English light ale. Try jungle juice. It might bring out the savage that lurks inside you.
And then just thank them for the inquiry, and then, you know, yours sincerely and sort of... Very clever. Whose idea was it? Dowling's?
Never blame your officials, Caswell. Stay where you are. I never thought to see you horizontal, but it doesn't please me.
It won't be for long.
You know you ought to be in London having medical attention.
I'm staying to see this through.
See what through?
Our hospital deal.
Leave it to me. I'll arrange the fringe benefits for the minister and the kudos for the politician in charge.
Oh, no, I don't need a wet nurse.
You can hardly call me wet.
Oh, hell, there's no ice.
I would have been if I'd allowed you to send me on that meaningless conference to Geneva instead of coming here. But it wasn't you that released me from that chore. The Foreign Secretary told you to after I told him about the hospital deal. He knows you had nothing to do with it. Everyone knows. Oh, hello. More iced water for Lord Bly, please.
Everyone knows. All I know is that if it hadn't been for you, I wouldn't have sold my firm. Then you interfered and smashed up my relationship with my son. Now you sit there gloating and telling me...
Rambling, Caswell.
Well, you're wasting your time. The Italians will get the job.
Now why stay on? Just for the pleasure of seeing me fail?
You won't win this.
No, not me, Caswell. Britain.
Britain? You don't care about Britain. All you care about is your own glory. Oh, God. Then not long since you were getting... contracts of the French. Oh, John.
This is Sir John Wilder. I want a doctor immediately, the very best. Is he the Prime Minister's? Now, I want the Prime Minister's doctor here immediately. Get in touch with London straight away. Reserve a private room for Caswell in the best hospital in London that you know.
Is he all right, John?
No, the doctor's with him now. He's obviously got some sort of heart trouble. Arrange his air travel. I want him in that hospital tomorrow.
Well, it's not going to be easy from here.
There's all the more reason to do it. Use our own private executive jet to shift him out of here to Nairobi and see he's fixed on BOAC as soon as possible. Now, he'll need more than one seat. He's a stretcher case.
Cables, please.
And if you're in any trouble with the airline, refer them to me.
At the airport, please. I suppose he is as sick as Wilder says. It's one way of culling the old stag from the herd.
Don't think I'm going to thank you for getting me out of here. I know it suits your book.
Stand there like a drooling schoolboy, darling. We got work to do.
Caswell, I think I should at least contact Kenneth.
Oh, no. I don't want Kenneth to know. This isn't a family affair, it's a business affair.
Oh, well, see you, Caswell.
This is Dr. A.
Hello. I want to speak to the Foreign Secretary, Lord Bly.
I am your surgeon, Caswell, and you shouldn't be working.
No. Don't push me around. I'm not an invalid yet.
And if it won't inconvenience you, we'd like to start some tests.
Well, start away.
And we're going to see that you get a good night's rest.
Yeah, and don't fool around and take my phone away. Hello, Foreign Secretary. Arthur. Yes, Caswell. Look, I'm back for a day or two. Look, I think in your own interest, you ought to send someone out to Somalia to keep an eye on Wilder. What? On his way back? Well, he can't have sewn everything up.
Oh, Don.
Hello, Ken.
What's it like to be a diplomat's diplomat?
Do come in.
Where's John?
Well, at this moment, somewhere over North Africa.
Oh, because the message I had was that he wanted to see me urgently.
Not John. I put in the call.
Oh, to tell me that John's the last around giving my firm a worthwhile contract. So he did undertake when he pinched you from the firm to do just that.
It's about your father, Ken.
Oh, don't tell me I've come halfway across London to discuss him.
He's seriously ill.
So he's asked you to rope in the prodigal son.
He's had a heart attack, Ken.
Yeah, well, I'm surprised he didn't have him years ago. Should have retired and left me to run the firm instead of selling out.
He's your father, Ken. You owe him at least that.
I owe him nothing. No money, nor filial affection. nor even a word of sympathy. I wouldn't send him a get-well telegram.
Kenneth!
So all my life he's gone out of his way to make me feel a failure he fathered in error. You know, he was a pygmy in the house, a prize example of nepotism in the firm. Some kind of burnt-out case he had to prop up. When he sold out Black Construction, it was much to spite me as to frustrate Wilder.
John would have got control.
Do you know what the great Lord Bligh's last words were to me, Don? He said, I wish your mother had miscarried instead of dropping you. And he said, never come whining to me when you're on your beam ends, 'cause there's not a penny in the kitty for you, either now or under my will.
That was 2 years ago, Ken. Look, you can't go on feuding like this, hating for the rest of your life.
Oh, for the rest of his, I can. No, anyway, whatever else I could forgive, I can't ever forget that he poisoned my marriage. Justine took his side and there were rows. And you know what happened?
2 years, Ken.
It'd be no different if it were 100. Tell him you delivered the message, Don.
There was no message, Ken. In fact, he said he wouldn't see you if you were the last person left on Earth.
Fine, good, fine. It's mutual. Well, now I'm here, you might as well tell me what John has up his sleeve for my firm.
Yeah, well, he's dug up something in Somalia.
Oh, can I see it?
No, it's confidential.
You're more like an established civil servant every minute. You must be in line for the most po-faced bureaucrat in the year award. When can I see John?
When he says you can. Ken, I know he'd like you to go and see Caswell.
John, since when has he been concerned about the Blighs? Except seeing them in hell.
Well, then, get him out of the conference. Yes, get Sir John Wilder on the phone. Yes, now. Well, tell me the worst.
The test's confirmed.
Yes? Look, I don't care if he's in conference in Buckingham Palace, will you? Oh, never mind. Oh, I'm getting out of here.
I shouldn't.
Oh, well, I've got a rebellious ambassador in my office who needs a dig in his ego.
If you get there to do it, with luck and care, you could live a year.
And without?
Tomorrow. Today, if you insist on charging off.
Never give up, do you?
Never do you, John. As long as I live, never do you.
Well, with a surgeon like Harrison involved, it must be serious.
He says the only hope is a heart transplant.
He should know. When is it?
It's not. I'm not going to be made a guinea pig in this human abattoir. If my heart isn't good enough, I don't want anybody else's.
You mean you'd rather die than have a new heart?
Yes, I would. I'm against all this spare part surgery, this tampering with human beings. And where will it end?
You sound more and more every day like a 20th century roundhead. I've always doubted this progressive streak that you claim for yourself.
Well, they'll put nobody else's heart in me.
Don't be a bloody fool, Caswell. Or is it that you're scared?
Scared?
It's not the principle that worries you, not the philosophy. You haven't got the guts.
Well, what do you think of our model patient, Sir John?
Not much.
Graham, I've been thinking. I've decided you can go ahead.
That's better, Caswell.
And get on with it now, no delays.
It's not as simple as that. You have to be prepared. And then there's the question of a suitable heart becoming available. Finally, there's the most tricky problem of all. The permission of the donor's next of kin.
Next of kin.
You have the list of interested firms, and Henderson visited Lord Bly.
Henderson has got a George Washington complex. He's the rottenest liar I know.
Well, I'm a good one.
Well, let's say you dissemble with integrity.
You've told him nothing in 4 days since we got back. Why start now?
He's been pestering the Foreign Secretary.
And the Foreign Secretary, you?
We have to report to Caswell.
Lies?
Unalarming facts. It wouldn't do for him to know just now how far things are advanced in Somalia.
Wouldn't be good for his heart.
Or for my work.
For which you don't wish to share the credit.
Now, don't get above yourself, Lincoln. Get out, John. We're busy.
You have a visitor, John.
Hey!
Hello, John. How's the modern Cecil Rhodes?
What the hell do you want?
Well, thanks for rolling out the plush royal carpet, Ambassador.
I'll give you 2 minutes.
Oh, give me more. I've been trying to make an appointment for 4 days. And I'm staying as long as it takes to make my point.
I'll make it in 1 minute. Come on, come to the point.
When you took Don as your PA and robbed me of a loyal partner, you promised my firm enough work for a year.
I got you 2 contracts.
Yes, one's turned sour and the other's unprofitable.
What you mean is, you fell flat on your face on the first and underpriced the second. You haven't learned.
That's not fair, John.
It's true.
Well, this time I want a contract, just one, that's worthwhile and dripping in prestige.
Is that all? Then you don't want me, you want the charity commissioners. They might put you onto a consortium of old ladies with money to burn.
I know what I want, John. The hospital building job in Somalia.
Oh, stop fancying yourself, Kenneth. That's a job for a big boy. Confine yourself to jobs you can handle, like public conveniences and municipal bus shelters.
Anyway, you can put my name on the list.
What list?
For the Somalian job. The Strakers are on it.
Good day, Kenneth.
Don't blame Don or Dowling. I've contacts at Strakers. I also know a number of members of Parliament who would be disturbed to hear of Britain spending like this on what amounts to an investment in long-term strategy east of Suez. They'd regard it as wasteful.
Let them.
Orms are also on the list. And I wonder what those same MPs would make of the fact that both Strakers and Orms have offered you managing directorships when you leave or are pushed from here.
Failure is making you desperate. Now run along and play pat-a-cake with somebody your own size.
I don't expect you to know all that Wilder is up to.
The chap Darling that gets in the way. I'm surprised he was ever accepted for the Foreign Office. He has an unfortunate habit of giving on the B-side.
Oh, just give me 5 minutes, will you, Windlesham?
Oh, yes, Minister.
Goodish news, Caswell. We're in business, I think. A young chap in the Mile Way Hospital smashed himself up in an argument with a lorry on his bike. He'll be dead within 72 hours. He's got a heart in what you might call mint condition.
You sound like a stamp collector.
There's no need for sentimentality in this job, Caswell. When you were a civil engineer, you needed ballast and tarmac for your roads. We need spare parts to rebuild people. When there's a chance of a heart that's going like a Swiss-made chronometer.
You grab.
Unfortunately for the young man, of course, especially his wife. But one must learn to accept these things.
She's agreed.
That's the trouble, not quite. She hasn't said yes, and she hasn't said no. But I think she will. We're giving her a little time to get over the shock.
Who's talking to her?
2 of my assistants.
Are they like you?
They're good persuaders.
Where do you keep your heart, Graham?
Now you're being unkind, Caswell.
Who is she?
Hmm?
This poor woman.
Now you know better than to ask me that.
Peter, I'd like you to do something for me. I want you to make certain inquiries at the Mileway Hospital.
I still need to have the job, John.
Listen, neither Ormes nor Strakers will get the job. And if 100 other firms fell out of the running, you wouldn't be even on the reserve list.
Sir John Wilder's office? Oh, yes, Minister. Are you out?
Hello, Caswell. How's the old ticker today?
John, I'd like you to help me. Could you come over straight away?
Well, you could have Henderson or Darling.
Neither. You're the only man who can do what I want.
No. No, there is someone else. He's standing right beside me. Kenneth.
Holding out his cap for a handout, no doubt.
I'll leave it to me, Caswell. Goodbye. He's all bark, Kenneth, like an aging sheepdog. It's all bluster, really. But I know he needs you to hold his hand.
He'd only try to break the bones of mine if I did. Nothing would induce me to go anywhere near him.
Nothing?
Nothing.
You need a contract for your firm.
What, you put me on the Somalia list?
No, but we have other hefty irons in other glowing fires.
No, I'd sooner end up in Carey Street.
Well, I hope you'll feel the same when the official receiver hunts you out of your cozy suburb and you have to take digs in the Cromwell Road.
See, I'm trying to see why you're so concerned that I should see him. I suppose it makes you feel superior.
Not much.
Well, if there's no contract within a week. Where is he then?
He has his own room.
Oh, is that all? Not his own clinic?
Your ex-partner is beginning to flex his tiny muscles down. You better buy him a chest expander for his next birthday. Oh, and Lincoln, take Ormes and Strakers off the Somalia list.
Oh, glad to see you're playing safe, John, for once. He took the bait, you think?
What bait?
When you've got him no contract a week from now, he'll use his reunion with Caswell to mention your future interests with Strakers and Ormes. Caswell will report it to the Foreign Secretary, by which time neither Strakers nor Ormes are on your list. And Caswell will be seen to be so hopelessly out of touch that we'll need a new minister.
In 10 years' time, you'll be the most devious in the game.
So, Sir John Wilder for minister, eh?
Oh, no, no. No, Don. Not me. You won't catch me towing party lines.
It occurs to me I might reinforce the point to Kenneth.
Well, it'll do no harm at all. Do it with your usual tongue-in-cheek integrity, Lincoln.
Even if Wilder lets you down, it's important you don't mention his future interests with Ormes and Strakers to your father.
So now you're protecting Wilder. Oh, I wish I knew where you stand.
I'm protecting us. I gave you the list of firms in for the job.
Yes, you still bother me.
For my trying and highly responsible job, for which I had to get a degree in several languages, I get the princely sum of $2,500 a year. They do better in Coventry spraying cars.
Well, I can't pay you anything anyway. Didn't strike me as corrupt.
Corrupt nothing. Normally and increasingly ambitious. You can't work with Wilder and not begin to wonder what life's about. What you're doing on a slum dweller's salary and a career subject to the whims of old bureaucrats with piles.
I'll try to stay with you.
If I stay on in the diplomatic service, I might, with luck and fair reporting on my work, be an ambassador who matters at 55. But I'm a born climber. And some of my superiors distrust such a tendency. They prefer you to creep up the backsides of mountains like Philby. I'm different. The ruthless product of a northern grammar school, they murmur in those pretty accents. Besides, now they're appointing ambassadors from outside, journalists and politicians, and big businessmen like Wilder. What's in it for me?
Well, what is in it for you?
I've been approached by 2 merchant banks to advise them on what we're up to in the Department for Special Situations and Trade.
Which you'll not do, of course.
I'd be breaking the Official Secrets Act. But if I'm worth it to them, I must have some value in business.
You're not saying you'd tip me the wink.
Kenneth. There's another firm on the Somalia list, Frinton's.
Yeah, they're not all that big.
They're looking for growth. I'm pushing them discreetly for the hospital's job, and I think they'll get it. With Holmes and Strakers out of the way.
But are they?
You scared Wilder with your red light. I've suggested to Frinton's 2 takeovers. ABD construction.
And? Well, not me.
The terms would be generous, and you'd have a seat on their board.
But they know what my firm's worth. Why should they be interested?
I've made it clear you're in a strong position with our department for future jobs.
Which I'm not.
With me, there you are.
And what's your price?
Don't be crude, Kenneth. Your firm won't be taken over for 2 years, but the options will be taken out now. And there's nothing in the rules to say I shouldn't own shares in your firm, which I'm not pushing for any contract. But directly, that is. The big catches will go to Frinton's.
Yes, all right. How many did you want?
Half.
You have been learning from Wilder.
I'd have been bloody silly not to.
25%.
Tell him to stop at the next taxi rank and we'll forget all about it.
Aren't you taking a risk?
It's about time I did. When I take up my option on your shares, I'll be out of Her Majesty's diplomatic service. I'll be at liberty to do just what the hell I like.
Or whom?
It's up to you, Kenneth.
So you make a capital clean-up out of my admittedly shaky little firm and retire to the Med.
Hell no. I'll be joining Frinton's board. We could be quite a force there.
You coming here to see him?
No, he's my master. Down the line, officials don't burst in uninvited on sick ministers. Do you mind if he takes me back?
Not at all.
Hello, Father.
Hello, Ken.
It was thought appropriate that I should see you.
By Wilder. I heard you were hanging about his office. I suppose he sent you here to force me into a relapse. No, don't go, Ken. I did ask Wilder to come himself.
Well, he's tied up with work.
Please, sit down. There's some scotch. If I...
No. Come on, I'll do it.
You know that this is pretty serious, Ken.
I'm sorry.
They say it's curtains unless I have a new heart. I've agreed to a transplant. I'd like you to do something for me, Ken.
Anything?
In the Mile Way Hospital... no, but first, you remember I told you once that I'd cut you out of my will?
Well, we needn't talk about that.
Well, actually, I'm leaving you quite well off.
You needn't, Father. I have a thriving business.
Well, I know different. Anyway, what I was saying was that in the Mile Way Hospital, there's a young fellow who only has a few more days to live. Smashed up on a motorbike.
Yes.
Now, his wife has been with him most of the day, but she's gone home now. I'd like you to go and talk to her.
Talk to her? What about?
Well, I gather she and the children could do with some security. I thought I'd like to help them. I don't know what we could suggest. 10 or 20,000 pounds. Mind you, it'll come out of your inheritance.
What? This is buying a heart.
Oh, no. I'm not buying a heart. All I want to do, Ken, is to help her. To try and compensate her in some way. Will you see her for me? Lord Blythe. No, I don't want that soup now. Later. Hello, Arthur. Caswell. Look, Arthur, about this Somalia thing, you know, I talked with our Italian friends today, and they're pretty put out by Wilder's invasion. You see, we're going to need their support on those two big European projects. So I suggest that we let the Italians build the hospitals in Somalia. Well, we could build them 2 power stations instead. Oh, yes, yes, I know 3 companies would jump at it if you give me the go-ahead. Good. Fine. Good night, Arthur. Good night. Now, nurse, let's have that soup. Ah, lovely soup.
Well, I'll just go and make you a cup of tea, eh?
Well, only if you're having one.
There's been tea and coffee all day at the hospital.
Mommy!
Sit down.
Thank you.
Take a seat, Mr. Bly.
I'm not sure I've any business being here, Mrs. Taylor.
It's Derek's favourite chair for watching the...
Mrs. Taylor, I know you've already been asked, and I don't want to be a nuisance in any way.
How old is he then, your father?
To be honest, I'm not sure.
Derek's 29.
I'm very sorry.
He's a carpenter, you know. This house he thinks is a palace. Well, not that I ever did, but this house and the kids. He was doing the late turn just so that he could take them to school. He'd never have been there in that motorbike, but for that, I could have taken them to school.
Oh, but you can't look at things like that because, you know, if you did, you'd be...
Never minded talking about things like this. So was me. He'd talk about leaving your eyes, you know. I could never face it.
I shouldn't be bothering you, but I just wanted to say that my father was very anxious.
Your father... Is he in pain?
I don't think so.
Is he conscious? I mean... Could I see him? I would just like to... I'd like to see what he's like.
Well, now you mean?
Hmm.
Oh, what about the children?
My neighbour will sit in.
Well, it's more important to keep the goodwill of the Italians than to let you indulge in another of your turns to boost up your ego.
Humbug. You're smashing the hospital plan because you didn't think of it. You're like some aging brat who runs away with the ball because he didn't make the team.
Let's not be petulant, John.
Go to hell. There's just one chance. He thinks he hates Kenneth. If we could show that Caswell was smashing the hospital plan because he knew that Kenneth was the contractor...
Oh, that wouldn't work.
Well, don't tell me you hate Kenneth, too.
I hardly know him.
All right, why wouldn't it work?
Or Lord Bly could plead he was concerned to avoid nepotism, or even the appearance of family favoritism.
You worry me, darling.
Besides, Kenneth's firm's on the rocks.
But we could soon exert a strong enough tug to haul it off. Couldn't we, Don?
No. Mr. Bly, I'll not go in. I know now. Well, nobody likes people around them when they're ill. He can have Derek's. It's what he'd want, Derek. I mean, it's just me that...
I'm sure my father would be honored to meet you, Mrs. Taylor. This is my father, Mrs. Taylor.
Please sit down.
Thank you.
I was very sorry to hear about your husband. Mrs. Taylor, if there's anything that I can do to help you financially, I don't know what my son talked to you about, but or whether he mentioned any figure. But if 10 or 20,000 pounds... But Mrs. Taylor, Ken...
What do you want a heart for? You've got along without one so far. Mrs. Taylor. I'm sorry.
What does he think people like us are? Oh, he may be a lord. Does he think he can buy anything?
Anything, anyone. Everything's a branch of commerce to him. Oh, sooner out of this place. He doesn't deserve...
You see that? He's your father. Is he very rich?
Horribly.
Tell him to put £20,000 in a trust fund for our children. Oh, I wouldn't touch a penny of it if I were starving. The children might need it. I hope not. They might. One day.
Now, let me drive you home.
I'll get a number 25.
Please, it's no
I'd
trouble.
rather.
Well, goodbye, Mrs. Taylor.
Yes. Would you ask my chauffeur to meet Mrs. Taylor at reception and drive her home? Oh, she's already left. Oh, never mind. Thank you.
Well, I've done my little rescue act. And you've got your heart. So, now I've an urgent game of bridge to play.
Don't you care whether I live or die? Are you really so indifferent?
Have I any cause not to be? I was not content with what you did to me in business. You had to break my marriage. Things have changed since I stepped from under that black wing of yours.
You still benefit under my will.
Well, cut me out of it.
I'm worth about £500,000, Ken, before death duties.
You may not be immortal, as we once thought. But you'll not die. If money talks, that is.
The balance will go equally between you and Jayston. And for the children, there are 12 impressionist paintings worth another $500,000. They won't be liable to death duties because I put them in the children's names years ago.
I never saw any impressionists.
No, well, you wouldn't have because they were sent straight from the auction room to my bank vaults.
You'll not die.
Wouldn't you like to say just once that you hope not?
If it consoles you.
If I don't come out of this, Ken, and the chances are that I won't, don't waste your inheritance trying to get back into business. Don't waste your inheritance. Pay off your debts and get out of it.
Even now you're trying to push me around.
No, I mean it for your own good, Ken. You were never cut out for business. You should have been a parson or a schoolmaster. You didn't have a hide for
Look,
business.
just...
You weren't robust enough.
Stop your miserable fortune. Go on, leave it to Oxfam. Oh, mental homes for mad businessmen.
No, what I'm trying to say, Ken, is don't waste your inheritance. I mean, think of your children. I mean, my grandchildren. I mean, I know it meant nothing to you that I was made a baron. But, well, one day they may be proud of it. And, well, they may treasure the robes and the coronets.
Yes, they'll come in handy for dressing up. school pantomime.
Oh, Ken. Poor Ken. I could lift you on, witness. I might if you're not careful.
Caswell, you have a visitor.
Well, I hope you're in good nick, Graham. You know, this could make you as famous as that South African, what's his name?
Such is fate.
You know, even Louis Pasteur never had a chance like this.
I'm glad you're only a life peer, Caswell. We're running short of blue blood.
Well, before the weekend, you may be one of the biggest names in British medicine. They'll make you a royal surgeon and give you a knighthood in the honours list.
Who's been giving this chap pep pills?
You know, if you don't get me back to the office by next Tuesday, you know, I'll sue you for incompetence.
As I was saying, Caswell, you have a visitor.
Oh, show him in. I knew my son would come. Well, well, well. What brings you here? Chance to be in at the kill?
Oh, to see a celebrity. There are more newsmen outside than a crisis cabinet meeting in Downing Street.
It's only because I'm Lord.
Well, when you get one of these new tickers, you're going to be insufferable.
Will I wonder. Where's Ken?
He's coming. He should be here in a moment.
John, if I don't come out of this, bury me standing, facing you.
His son is coming.
Well, there's nothing I can do about the contract now, Kenneth. There'll be a new minister.
Hell, John, it's only an hour since he was buried. Don't be sentimental. All that matters now is who our new master is.
Oh, no. No, Lincoln. Not me. I'm not even in the queue.
You wanted him out of the way long enough.
But I wasn't the one who hated him. Better go down and look after Pamela, Don. She's very upset.
I'll come with you.
Well, now you can afford to forget about Somalia.